Hello everybody, I'm sorry to say that I'm unable to go out on field trips. This is the second year running now where I've not been able to go out in March and watch the Ayers boxing, which I was going to try and record for you to see. And the trees, of course, are just started to be in bud, and I was hoping to film all that for you, but I'm unable to go out because of lockdown again. But anyway, we're in the garden, and I thought I'd just show you a few things. Here you can see the camellia is in bud, and it's a beautiful sight, isn't it, really? And you can see the others are in bud behind. And of course this is a better view, and it shows you that how many flowers have come out. There's some on the top. The top ones, by the way, are not quite as good as they should be. And the reason for that is that we didn't cut it down properly. And indeed, the ones at the front are overweight in the old bush. And you'll see that in a minute. And you can see I've had to tie it up. And we're going to have to sort that out next year. But it's just one of those things that change from year to year. So what gardens change from year to year, that is. But unfortunately the camellia flower doesn't last long, and this is what happens after about a fortnight, depending whether it's windy or not. But they are a treat once they come out. Well, you can see that there's washing on the line, and of course the gardens have got to be multifunctional. But I've cut the grass for the first time this year, and we get wonderful light coming across the park. You can see where the fence is. There's the other side of the fence is the park, and last year I cut everything down off the fence so I could paint it. And I gave it 2 or 3 coats. Unfortunately, I've looked at it this year. That's straightforward, that is, and there's some bits that want painting again. I don't know what happened there with the paint that I put on, but I got the best quality I could. Maybe it dried too quickly, or it didn't dry quickly enough. But it's gone patchy, and it's not good in places, I'm afraid. So I'll have to do it all again. But to the left, I've altered a water feature where the birds come for a drink, and also you can see there's what is it, like a chimney top, and it's just a garden feature actually. But if we get some inquisitive people asking silly questions, I tell them that it's the vent for the nuclear bunker, which is underneath, which is a complete lie, really. Well, it keeps them quiet. And you can see that on the right hand side there's a new fence which our neighbours have put up, and I'm going to have to negotiate with him to paint it green, but I don't know yet what I'm going to do about that, because it's by the time I get cracking on that job, the plants will already be growing close to the fence, and I'll not be able to get in there and paint. But anyway, it doesn't matter really. There's always another year for that, because it's a new fence. It's not rotting away. I think it's being treated, which is good for me, really. Also, I'm sad to say that the nest boxes are not being visited. They are being visited, but they're not being used. Here, I think this is Spirea, and it's just coming in bud. Now, there is something in the garden, and it might be this plant that causes a rash. Here we have the Japanese roses coming out, and in the park, in fact, there's swathes of these things already fully open, and it's just a matter of waiting and being patient, really. But we can. We've done all sorts of things to this garden, and one of the things I'll do uh, in some vlogs in the future is I'll show you what it looked like when we first came to this particular house 15 years ago. It took us about 2 years to get the garden right, I think. But here you can see brand new buds forming. And I'm not quite sure what this is yet until it flowers. But it's lovely to see new growth in the garden, new leaves. Um, you know, after such a long winter and being shut up as well, it's the longest winter I've had really because I've not been able to go out anywhere. My wife and I have been locked in the house for the most part, and indeed my son is now working at home since this particular lockdown. He's working at home, but here is what we've all been waiting for. The daffodils have come out at long last, and it's lovely to see. But we don't. No, this is not a daffodil, is it? I'm sorry. It's a new camellia that we've had put in. It's a really beautiful flower. Now there's only one bud on it at the moment, and it's not been in the ground very long. But it is a wonderful looking flower, and I'm hoping for great things with that next year. But we'll have to wait and see. That's what gardening is about, isn't it? Some years you have good years, some years you have bad years, and sometimes you have really exciting years. So these particular daffodils have not been doing very well for us, and I've thinned them out twice now. But at least they're coming now. Right at the top end there where the water feature is, just to the left, there used to be swathes of daffodils there, and then they started dying off, and I found out that they were too close together. I took a lot out, and the following year I thought we were going to have some daffodils, and we didn't have any again, and so I thinned them out for 3 years, and they've just started to produce daffodils now for us. But here we have now, what have we here? This is the hydrangea, and we've cut all the old flowers off there, and you cut those in March, and you cut them one above a bud, and the buds will turn into, eventually they'll grow for you, and you'll have wonderful large flowers. This is on the front drive, and the daffodils here have done much better for us than the ones in the back. We have some double-headed ones, but actually I think they've all died off. But we are looking at this year what will happen to 2 trees we've put in right at the back there, past the water feature that you can see stood on it in the middle, and one's a plum and one's a pear tree. Now we don't expect much from them, but we have got some nice flowers coming out, and I'm not really sure what this flower is, but it's nice, isn't it? Anyway, back to the trees. The pear tree is starting to bud already. We've only had it in the garden 2 or 3 weeks. The plum tree may have died off on us, but again, it's luck of the draw. I think we had a cold snap couple of days after we planted the trees in. The trees were going in really at the right time of year. The sap's starting to rise now, so they should be looking as though they're budding, But we have not any information at all about fruit trees. So the trees are mentioned here. Well, we're not sure what's happened. The pear tree appears to be budding, but the plum tree doesn't appear to be in bud, and we may have lost it due to the frost. Look at the door, isn't it? If I've not already said that. But if it does come, and we will have to find everything else out about what to do. There'll be diseases, I suppose, to look into, and we are organic and we stay in organic, so we won't be using any sprays at all. But even though it was a lovely looking day when I filmed this, it was very cold, and all I did on this occasion, I put the camera on the tripod, let it run its course, and I've added lots of outtakes to go onto this particular film. But I'm not really sure how the outtakes are spaced out properly. I have to learn all that yet. But I think there's quite a few have done the trick for me, really. I suppose on this particular screen there'll be some kind of inclination as to when the overlays is going to be shown, but I haven't found that yet, so that's probably why we've not seen as many as I thought we were going to see. I thought I'd put about 15 overlays on, and we've not seen that many yet, have we? Although we've seen 4, maybe 5 of the Camellia at present. But anyway, it's a trial, and I'm sure that some of you will think, oh, I can do better than that myself. And if you can, please have a go. It's really interesting things to do. But again, I'm really lost until I can start going out walking in the fields and discussing what's going off with the plants and people's reactions to what they see and what they don't see, because people imagine that most of what they see is always been there, and it hasn't, of course, has it? The majority of it's been done by human beings, undertaken by human beings. But I will look at all that someday, hopefully. Unfortunately, we're another 6 months, I think, of lockdown. But we'll have a go and see what happens. And I have some things planned. I've got one thing planned for a place called